Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and I wanted to do a little bit of an update on the Fortune Island vehicles. Now, we talked about a lot of the vehicles recently, and I wanted to go back and just touch on one very specific vehicle, because we talked about the CC8S, we talked about the Aventador J, we talked about all of these other vehicles, but we didn't really spend too much time on the 2018 Funco Motorsports F9. And the reason why I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the F9 is because the F9 is a very significant vehicle in relation to Forza. It's actually a lot more significant than I even realized before going back and really taking a look at it. Now, it makes 1,750 horsepower out of a twin-turbo LS engine. Now, they say that it will bust standing wheelies in the sand from 60 to 100 miles an hour. They also say that it pretty much is it's pretty much the most badass sand-related off-road vehicle they've ever put in the game. Now, I will say that even though it's pretty much a buggy, the actual body looks like the body of a boat. It's really, really weird. The thing actually does look like a boat. It really looks like something that was meant to go in water or almost be amphibious. It isn't, obviously. But it's one of those things that's like, it's one of those things where you look at it and it looks like it was outfitted and designed like a boat, but they put off-road suspension on it. Now, I think that it's definitely going to be at home here. I think it's going to be at home in Forza for sure. But I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into this thing because, and also, a very interesting point about the Funco Motorsports F9 is the fact that, so they say it's a twin-turbocharged LS engine, right? Now, we know that in the base version of Forza, or well, Forza Horizon 4, you can twin turbocharge an LS engine, but you can't take it anywhere close to 1,750 horsepower. So that kind of raises an interesting question, because why should you be that limited to what you can do with a normal twin turbo LS engine when they could come out with a different vehicle with its own, like, specific type of twin-turbo LS engine that makes so much more horsepower? So I kind of get that there's, like, two different sides to that story, but I would like for the bar to be raised on what you can do with an LS engine in Horizon 4. And don't get me wrong, I love the DeBerti truck, but I really, really hope that the F9 doesn't sound like the DeBerti truck. The DeBerti truck doesn't sound great, in my opinion. Like, I don't think they did a brilliant job with the sounds of the DeBerti truck in the game. Now, that's, again, my own personal opinion, but a lot of people on Instagram and on Twitter seem to share a similar opinion as that, so I'm going to stick with it, and it seems like an opinion that's kind of widely shared within the Forza community right now, and I just wonder where they got the sound for this truck from, because it doesn't sound like they got it from the real truck, that's for sure. It just sounds very off. It sounds very off and just doesn't sound right. Now, enough about the DeBerti truck. This video is about the Funco F9. Now, if you go to their website and actually, like, look into the details of the car, they say that it comes with a full Motec electronics system. So that means their ECU and probably all of their, like, you know, power control modules and stuff like that. It comes with 3.5-inch front and rear shocks, 1,000+ horsepower, custom interior, and an Albin's transmission, which I've never heard of before. I have no idea what that actually, like, what an Albin's transmission is, but it's one of those builds that you just look at and it's automatically crazy. Like, from the first second you look at it, you're like, oh, this means hella business. You know, it really, really, really does. And another vehicle that I actually didn't really touch on that much in my previous video is the 2015 Hoonigan Gymkhana 8 Ford Fiesta ST RX43, which is also coming in Fortune Island. Now, it's Ken Block's global rallycross car developed by M Sport. It's featured in both Gymkhana 6 and Gymkhana 8, and it's definitely going to be one to actually, to try out in Fortune Island, because it's one of those cars that's really going to be well-tuned, I think, for the tight roads and the tight sections that are going to be along that cliff road. And not only that, but I think it's going to do an amazing job with whatever high maneuverability stuff that you want to do. That car is going to work perfectly for it, because that is a genuine, like, global rallycross car. That is a car that it was tuned specifically to be hyper maneuverable wherever you wanted it to go. completely and totally different to the to the Funko. Now, this is also actually very interesting because the Funko F9 is going to be the first factory vehicle. I say factory, but first vehicle in a Forza game that you could bring it from the dealership, like, without touching the tune and do wheelies, which makes me very, very, very curious as to how they've engineered it and how they've engineered the stock tune and how they've engineered, you know, the way they programmed the suspension and stuff like that to be able to do wheelies without any weird, strange tuning. So I wonder how it's going to drive with basically a wheelie setup developed by the actual game developers instead of something that was a tune, you know, that someone made and then put up on the storefront. Now, there's nothing wrong with wheelie tunes that people make and put up on the storefront. That's wonderful. I feel like people should keep making wheelie tunes. But I do know that a lot of the wheelie tunes perform very, very odd, and they just perform in an odd way most of the time, and they can stand the car up on the back bumper and make the car spin in circles and all that crazy stuff. And I wonder what, you know, Playground has done in terms of the physics in order to not necessarily combat that, but to make it seem a lot more realistic and to make the car handle a wheelie in a smoother, more realistic way that reacts better to the physics environment of Horizon 4 rather than a wheelie tune that's basically trying to get around the physics of Horizon 4. So basically, I'm curious to see how a wheelie works when it's within the physics rather than trying to get around the physics, if that makes any sense. And I think that it should make sense. I think of what I'm thinking about if I'm getting my point across properly, which some of you sometimes tell me I don't, but that's kind of in that same vein of, will it actually perform smoothly or will it behave weird? I mean, I'm sure it's going to perform smoothly because it's a vehicle that they've developed, you know, the physics for, like, straight from the devs. But at the same time, I do feel like it will be interesting, again, to see. So, the Funko F9, I think, it's got potential to be the craziest off-road vehicle that we've ever seen. Not only does it have potential to be the craziest off-road vehicle that we've ever seen in a Forza game, but it has potential to attack some areas of the map that I'm very, very curious about. Like, for example, I don't think that thing is going to be very effective in races. I think it's going to be very good at one thing, and that is going to be racing along the beach or racing in the desert back in the mainland. And honestly, like, there's not that much desert to race in back in the mainland, but I bet you somebody is going to tune that thing for beach drag racing, and it's going to be a monster. It's going to be absolutely insane if somebody tunes it for beach drag racing. So, with that being said, I think it's definitely going to be a vehicle to watch out for, and I think it's also definitely going to be a vehicle that you'll want to keep your eye on going forward with these new updates. So, there's a little bit more insight on the Funco Motorsports F9. That car, like I said, I didn't really touch on it all too much in my other video, which is why I wanted to make a video about it, and also because it's the most powerful car in a Forza game to date, and so I felt like it deserved its own little spotlight and its own little extra bit of kind of personal attention, and I'm really excited to drive one. I'm really, really excited to drive one. I mean, I bet you that thing with a wheel would probably try to rip the wheel out of your hands, but it would be in, like, the best way possible, because if you like getting a rhythm with that thing, I'm sure it's an absolute maniac. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please do leave me a like. Tell me in the comments below what car you're excited for in Fortune Island. I really hope I didn't make that mistake anywhere else in the video, but anyways, make sure to subscribe for more. I'll see y'all next time, and I am so excited for Fortune Island, and I'm so excited to drive the Funco Motorsports F9 along with all the other cars. So again, thank you very much. Hope y'all enjoyed.